Looking on YouTube, there's pretty limited information about how your swamp cooler works. Today I'm going to replace cooler pads, show you how easy it is. Why call a cooler guy when you can do it yourself? Interesting thing about swamp coolers is that when you're inside the house and it's nice and cool, you can't tell if it's a new swamp cooler or if it's an old swamp cooler like this one that's cooling your house. So why buy a new one when you can just maintain the old one that you have? Pretty simple concept. Water comes down through the cooler panels and a fan draws warm air from outside through the cooler pads, cooling down the air as it goes through the pads and goes into your house, displaces the warm air in the house. So I'm going to show you how that's done today. It's pretty simple. So the first thing we're going to do is take these panels off. Here there's a tab. Here there's a tab. Just lift them off like this. Pull the panel out. Lift it off. Every cooler seems like every cooler has a little different method of taking them off, but that's how this one works. Got a fan belt, got an electric motor that rotates and turns the fan, and you can see there's water coming out of the spider. Water comes down, goes into this channel right here, and puts water in the cooler pad so the thing works. Down here in the bottom is a reservoir with a float. The float is charged with a water line here, and as the reservoir gets low, it lets water in. On the other side of the swamp cooler is a water pump. Right there's the water pump. Pumps water up to the spider and pumps water so it comes back down like that. I'm going to take down the other panel, remove the pads, and I'll show you how that's done. Now that I have the unit shut off, you can kind of see better. Of all the panels off, there's your pump. That pumps the water. The fan. The electric motor. Then you have a float. You got to replace the float every couple years. A motor will last 3 or 4 years, and the pump will last 1 or 2 years. All three of those components need to be replaced and are readily available at your nearest hardware store. Panels look like this on the inside, and you see the dark colors on the old cooler pads indicates that they need to be replaced. These are grids. These grids got to come out. Remove the tab, and then these grids come out. They're in these holes here. This one I took it out, so this pad is already ready to come out. The grids look like this. Here's the middle center thing. Got new cooler pads here ready to go in. Cooler pads come in different dimensions. Measure your panel before you buy your cooler pads because you want to get the right size. They come in all kinds of different sizes. It's kind of crazy. Your job is to match it up as best you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out, pull this old material out, and I'm just going to throw it away. I'll put it in a wheelbarrow. I'm going to get it out of here. Boy, it's hotter than blazes out here. Funny thing about swamp coolers, you're always working on them when it's 100 degrees outside. The new pads are installed. Almost looks brand new. One thing I hate is calling somebody to do a job for you for they charge you $150 when I could have done it myself for a fraction of the cost. These pads cost me $25 and a trip to town. There's the old ones that go in a wheelbarrow. They were just tore up, just history. This is an old swamp cooler. It might be 30 years old, I don't know. One problem that I have is calcium buildup on the panels and inside the unit. So I took a hose and I rinsed them off real good. It would be a good idea to get a brush and brush them off, but it's just a bit of a lost cause because the water I have is a real problem. I'm going to put these back on and I'm going to fire it up. Panels are installed. Swamp cooler is ready for cool air. And in closing, remember that if your swamp cooler doesn't work, number one, check the cooler pads. Number two, check to make sure the float is working correctly and water is getting into the reservoir. Number three, make sure the pump is working. That pumps water up to the top and distributes into the pads. And then lastly, of course, is your electric motor. Those will last 4 or 5 years. Hope this helps.